what am I even doing? Like, why am I trying to build out a van a novice could take on? Why am I thinking I can do this? Hey, I'm Issa, and I'm learning to convert this van all by myself while traveling out of it as much as possible. And today my plan is to work on the headliner shelf. So it's a shelf that I'm going to put up here. I've got a template and a cutout that's just for that. I've now got my plywood line out, and I don't know if you can see, but I have a piece of, it's so heavy. I have a piece of foam board. I think if I'm able to actually get this headliner shelf done today, I'm going to treat myself to a coffee. Another coffee. Got most of the template cut out, taped it all along the edges, got it as flat as I could. I've got a wood blade and a jigsaw, and I bolstered it with two, I think they're 1x1s under this plywood, and then the foam board's underneath too. I made sure that my jigsaw blade will not, I hope you can see that, but my jigsaw blade's not going to hit the concrete underneath. So I'm going to move this wood piece. Next, I'm going to use my sander because my test fit actually went really well. So I'm just going to sand down and just kind of smooth out the edges. Really, at this point, the blade I chose, I'm really happy with it. I kind of took my best educated guess, and it made the edges really nice and very smooth. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm using 120 grit on my fun new handheld sander. These sticks are coming in way more handy. I had bought them to frame my fan and my hatch. These are 2x2s. And I didn't need them for the hatch yet. And I actually considered doing something different for the hatch. But these are turning out to work since I don't have a work table. This birch is actually really pretty. The plywood was way too big for me to want to flip it over and check both sides, so I was like, screw it, this side looks good enough. It does have some imperfections. They'll fill them in, and so it might not look as great, but when I cut the board, the other side actually looked even better, and it came out okay because I used a really nice wood blade for it, so I can use the other side, which is what I'm going to do. So really the other side is the bottom side that I'm going to see. I will end up staining this, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in and use it as it is for now. I'm definitely treating myself to a coffee. The van shelf, the hardest part, was what I thought was going to be the easiest part, which was putting the brackets up where like the coat hook is and stuff. And it wasn't difficult by any means. I'm a complete novice. I do have some jigsaw skills now. I think the biggest thing is using the right blade. So the more teeth you have, the better and finer the cut. The less teeth you have, the rougher the cut. Also, the rougher the cut and the less teeth, typically the faster the cut, the finer the cut, the more teeth you have in your jigsaw blade, the slower the cut. I'm okay with the slow cut, honestly, because it's giving me really good results in both this first bit that I've used with wood as well as my windows. I was incredibly happy. I'm so happy with how those windows turned out. My headliner shelf piece is not perfect, but it doesn't have to be. It's going to be stained, and it's going to be a storage shelf that is really not ever going to be viewed. And it fits the contours beautifully, and it's going to do exactly what I need it to do. That wood is so pretty. This project is a skill that a novice could take on. Absolutely. This could even be one of your first projects in the van. I think it would be a pretty good first practice step because the template is provided and then you follow along the template, and there is a little bit of wiggle room within that. So if you don't get it exact and you kind of fudge it up, you can still use that wood piece. You might have to sand things more, you might have to trim things out more, but it's a great way to learn the control of the jigsaw and just what you feel comfortable with. It's a little, well, honestly, I think using a jigsaw is awkward if you're using it on the side of a van wall or if you're using it, in my case, hunched over. Since I don't have a workbench, I'm really pleased too with using the 2x2 wood pieces to help bolster things. And then I got, the idea for using the foam board by researching how to use a circular saw on YouTube. So everything's kind of coming together. I finally feel like I have a skill set. Plan for today, aside from a second cup of coffee, is a bunch of small tasks to do on the van. I plan to do some weather, I don't know what to call it aside from weather stripping, some border along the outside. All of my animals are making noise right now. So some weather stripping, insulate under the headliner, measure the holes to make sure I order the right plus nuts. I'm gonna also try to take my framing measurements. I've got some of them done. And I need to put the tags on my license plate because that finally came. Here's my cat, Cami. Can you at least come in the shot instead of just being weird? Come here. Here's a cat. It's like the worst shot ever. Just write down everything I plan to do today because there's so many small tasks I keep forgetting them. So if I write them down, we'll be ready to go. I cannot lie, there are times when I'm getting into this build and I just feel like, what am I even doing? Like, why am I trying to build out a van? Why am I thinking I can do this? Like, should I even do this? Was this a good choice? Should I just scrap it all? But those are momentary thoughts and they're just based on frustration. And every time I think I have a plan, I realize I have to adjust it significantly. Everything I think I knew or that I researched ahead of time often is, oh, I don't know how to say it. It's I have a good plan, but then I realize things as I get into the build, and it's a little frustrating. So, oh well, it's what I'm doing this for. I want to learn, right? So I'm learning. I need to focus on what I can do right now because there's a lot of things I'm waiting to get delivered, or there's some more research and knowledge and skill set I need to gain before I can start. So I'm taking an idea I got from the Matneys, and I'm just going to mark all of my electrical to and fros so that when I get moving on some framing and some ceiling stuff, I'll know where I want my outlets to end up. Anything with electricity, where it's going to end up. Okay. I'm replacing, this is what was in the headliner that broke off, with this, and the original piece, it had a similar head here. It just didn't move. This head will actually move in and out. Oops! You can see they're slightly different sized, but it still should fit just fine in my headliner. And these black ones are what I got from removing the back panel. Hard to see, but the back panels that kind of were just covering the mechanisms back there. And I'm not going to reuse them because I'm not putting those panels back. I'm going to cover with wood. So now I have a purpose for this. So keep that in mind. If you pop your headliner out, you're likely to break this, and you're unlikely to want to buy 100, which these are typically sold in. So food for thought. Okay, so this is about as good as I'm going to be getting. There is some lip left here, just the way these are designed. I can't punch it all the way tight again, but I'm gonna let sleeping dogs lie. It's still pretty close. I'm happy with it, and since I'm gonna be framing up there, that's not ever gonna be seen. The insulation was extra as it was, so I'm just gonna consider that complete because I'm not buying 100 new fasteners. To give you an idea why those fasteners weren't working super great, as you probably could see, size difference in the fasteners, and so the way that this one was working is there was no movable parts. It just kind of popped in against the headliner flush, whereas this one, let's see, has some movable parts to it. This kind of moves up and down this little head here, and then this part here can get narrower and then squish down as that head comes through, kind of pushes it in place. I didn't have enough force that I could just squish that in and get them super close because of the way the channel was holding it. So that's why I have my gap, and to me, I'm okay with that. I don't really care. These are pretty cheap pieces of plastic, and they'll break easily, so at least I have extra for if the headliner breaks. These are actually the top of them. They're not a full like head, it's just this little circle, and I had to dig all of these out of each of the channels because they impeded the new heads from going in. So I just fake reassembled one. So this is essentially what an original one would have looked like. So I've brought my buddy to hang out inside the van with me today while I work on a few tasks. I cannot lie, my motivation to do stuff is low. I am in a holding pattern right now. I decided to put an additional seat in the Sprinter, and to do that I'm going to have it professionally installed because it's going to be for my niece, and I want to make sure that all the safety standards are adhered to. It is probably something I could do myself. I just would prefer to have professionals do it for full CYA purposes. Because I decided to put that seat in, I cannot put my floor in yet, which I can take out my floor. I might do that. I need to figure out the partition to stain my headliner shelf, hopefully, if this color turns out as I'm expecting. I'm not covering it in upholstery because of this guy, because he sheds it so much. Well, he sheds it enough that there's going to be hair all over it, so it'll just be easier to keep it clean if it's wood. This weather trim is meant to seal up this gap here that's on the Sprinter, because what happens is there are just little plugs that hold these plastic panels in place, and they have rubber grommets around them to keep the water from going inside the van, because that's the next layer after this. It's van wall and van inside, with the little grommets are in. So, excuse me, the point of this trim, it's sold by Vans. I think I got this for about $45 for my 144, is meant to block water from going in here. So it's just an additional protection to keep from getting water inside your van, in addition to the rubber grommets that are around the plugs that are holding the panel in place. So let's see how easy this is. The trim piece that goes below gas cap, or excuse me, the diesel fill area is thicker. This plastic is thicker this way. So I've taken the trim because I still want to protect this whole area from having anything leak into it. I don't know if this is made for diesel. It might just deteriorate over time. There was no way to hold it, so I've flipped it around and it's just held in place by this little lip. So really, time will tell as far as that helping anything. That's not going to be where I have the interior of my van, but still, it'd be nice if there was a smooth look, because now I'm going to have a gap of trim here and then continue the trim along the body of the van. But I can't put any trim here because anything I stick in there comes out every time I open the gas cap. So, owl vans, what can we do to make this cute or adhere to here? That'd be nice just for the look. I'm doing this for the weather protection, but I'd like the look. Overall, I think it's pretty nice, but here, this was the end of the roll, so it was a little bit wrinkly. I'm just gonna give it some time in the heat and the sun to see if that will flatten out, but it looks pretty nice. Granted, my van needs a good washing. The point of it is to keep the rain out, and I think it will do just fine doing exactly that. Time will tell. It might be hard to see in the sun, but this is the side with the gas cap brake, but the trim all along here stops for a second, then continues on. Just finished up with the trim. I have this much left, so not a lot. I'll keep it on hand. I had ended up using slightly curly piece, so this is not very curly or wrinkly, so I can use this if I need to, if I need to replace one. A small section. The small sections were where I had the hardest time. I don't know why, but I found that there was a good rhythm to it when I just took the, this isn't the tool, but when I just took the tool and kind of squished it in along a line. I love the deep gray. It matches with the van. So my goal is to have that headliner shelf match well enough with the interior van, so once I have my partition walls and sliding door in place, it looks a bit OEM. I'm not trying to spruce it up, but the color of that stain is so beautiful. So I'm not sure if I'm going to put a second coat on or not, because I love to see the wood, because I really like the bit of wood grain that I can see through it so far. So TBD. It's just gonna be, honestly, a lot of lollygagging? Lallygagging. It's gonna be a lot of lallygagging. It's gonna be my cat breaking my computer.